In the late Roman period, Korykos was one of the most prominent cities on the Mediterranean coast of what is now southeastern Turkey. Much of the ancient city was destroyed to build medieval castles. The best preserved part lies just outside the modern town of Kızkalesi, in what was once a vast necropolis. Here, unexcavated and enveloped in brush, are the remains of a series of Byzantine churches and mausolea. A processional route, dubbed the Sacred Way by the archaeologists who surveyed the area, ran from the city through the heart of the Byzantine necropolis. At one end, well outside the city walls, was this basilica. Let's take a look. I was last here in 2017, 8 years ago, and I can tell already that things have changed. All this brush has been cleared away, for one thing, but this wall has collapsed. It's bad news. Like most buildings in this part of Turkey that are not enclosed in an archaeological site, it suffered from treasure hunters. You can see all of the pits left scattered around here in what were once the chapels. Okay, turning towards the main apse. We're looking down the nave of the church here. Now, pardon me, I'm balancing on heaps of rubble. Here again, they've cleared the brush in the last few years. Maybe they're planning to do some restoration work. So as usual in a basilica, the nave was flanked by aisles. So we'd be walking in the left aisle of the church. You can see a few columns ahead of us where they've fallen. Okay, now there are only a few recognizable bits of decoration here, but the most remarkable ones are still here. Very good. So there were 2 marble blocks, and here's one of them. It's still standing in place. And this shows the Lamb of God. You can see they've covered with brush what was a large open cistern. Over here, we have a second block, and this one is inscribed with a cross. It's thought that these may have marked the graves of martyrs, but of course we don't know. If there were tombs, they were robbed a long time ago. Okay, picking my way towards the main door. The church had a narthex and atrium, but they've more or less totally collapsed. The door is still imposing, about 12 feet high. And now looking off through a sea of rubble toward our next targets. Continuing along the processional way toward our next church. In the distance is the resort town of Kızkalesi, and out there in the bay is the island castle that gave the town its name. And now we come to an even larger Byzantine church, which is thought to date to the reign of Justinian. Let's head inside. This porch is still quite well preserved. I like the stylized acanthus leaves there on the outer edges. Here again, there's been some recent brush clearing, which is maybe a good sign. Okay, looking toward the apse. This is the same basic layout as the last church, but with a bit more rubble encumbering it. Here we see one of the columns still sticking out. And this capital is reminiscent of the sort of work you'd see in Hagia Sophia. In a more provincial mode, of course, but still not half bad. Okay, continuing over the collapsed central nave here. Let's get a bit closer to the apse. Very often, treasure hunters will focus their efforts on this area because they're convinced that there was important stuff beneath the altar. They aren't always wrong. There were relics down there sometimes that might be dressed in gold or silver. Whatever was down there, long gone now, as you can tell from all these pits. Now we're heading back toward the main door and the well-preserved atrium. Bear with me. Everything in Turkey that can have spikes and thorns has spikes and thorns. Another nice bit decoration. Always that stylized acanthus leaves. They call them basket hilt columns. Okay. So the main portal, again, soaring, monumental, etc. And you have a sense here of how much the atrium could be part of the experience of a church, this wide open area. As we emerge from the atrium courtyard, we have the first of many sarcophagi. These, whether Christian or pre-Christian, almost always have the same basic shape, with those acroteria on the lid. All right, continuing down the processional way and toward the ancient city. More sarcophagi. I mentioned those acroteria, those raised flanges on the lids. Those are meant to recall the decorations that you'd see on the corners of temple roofs. Otherwise, actually, these are pretty plain sarcophagi. No relief carving. Nope, stand corrected. A little bit of raised relief. The sheer scale of this necropolis is really jaw-dropping. You can see more of the ruins we're going to visit in the distance. We've already walked, I don't know, a third of a mile. Sarcophagus. A long row of Christian sarcophagi, all emblazoned with crosses. These tombs were just cut into the rock with a lid stuck on top. Just a quiet field of sarcophagi. Sun just setting now. Final target in sight. Well, I can't resist. This will probably not be too easy to access, but we'll find out. This is just a farmer's fence now. And we are apparently inside the church. Oh yeah. We do a bit of bushwhacking here. Ah, that's cool. That's really cool. The vault is still standing to its full height, all filled and washed by the sun. The usual treasure hunting, of course, but still pretty wonderful. If I am not mistaken, and to be honest, I might be mistaken, the signage around here is not exactly great, this was the cathedral. If indeed it is, it dates to the 5th century. It was, as we can see, a grand three-aisled basilica. So we're looking over this wall into the brush, down the nave. And if we come over here, we'll find the corners of the aisles. So there's the corner of the right aisle, looming through the brush, and parts of the other here among the trees. Originally, it had a mosaic floor, but that's now totally destroyed and buried. We're told that that floor showed geometric patterns and wild beasts. That we can only imagine. But if nothing else, the beauty of the apse, its symmetry, its monumentality, is still evident. Thanks for joining me on this tour of Korykos. If ever you're in southeastern Turkey, check it out.